The unbreakable ones break too. Welcome to the Soft Girl Era podcast, where we create sacred space for high achieving Black women to finally exhale, to drop the cape, and to choose softness without apology. I'm your host, LeAnne Dolce, pronounced Dolce, like sweet softness whispered in French, and today I'm bringing you insights from a conversation that shook me to my core, that made me rethink everything I thought I knew about strength, about resilience, about what it means to show up when the world has taken everything from you and still expects you to smile. I recently had the honor of interviewing Gabrielle Brown, a woman who has mothered 13 children, built businesses from the ground up, mentored young entrepreneurs, and somehow kept standing through losses that would flatten most of us. Two fathers passing, a brutal divorce after 40 years, domestic violence, rehab, rebellious teens, five stepchildren she raised who never said thank you, addiction cycles that swung from drugs to food, and no mother figure of her own to lean on when the weight got too heavy. Gabrielle Brown is out here restoring women's faith in God and in each other, preaching vulnerability over pride, teaching us that saying I'm not okay is the first step to not spending months stuck in depression. And that's what we're unpacking today. Because if Gabrielle's story teaches us anything, it's this: the strongest people in your life, the ones who seem unbreakable, they need you most. And we got to stop waiting until they collapse to show up. Let me be clear, this isn't a thesis, this isn't theory. This is about real women, real trauma, real survival, and the radical softness it takes to heal. So let's dive in. Here's what I need you to remember from Gabrielle Brown's story and from the women whose journeys mirror hers. Three things: write them down, tattoo them on your heart, share them with your sister who's been strong for too long. First, vulnerability is your superpower. Say I'm not okay without pride, because that's how you avoid months stuck in depression. Gabrielle modeled this by owning her pain, by admitting that 40 years of being told you're not enough, you're too old, nobody's going to want you because you've got kids and you raised his kids. That voice doesn't just disappear when the marriage ends, it echoes, it haunts. And when you add domestic violence, addiction cycles, weight gain as a coping mechanism, rebellious teens, and a community that expects you to keep it together, pride becomes a prison. Admitting you're struggling, that's the key that unlocks the door. That's how you strive forward instead of sinking. Second, support the strongest people in your life. They need you most, even when they seem unbreakable. Gabrielle has been the go to for everyone: family, stepkids who leached off her, community members who needed a mentor. And despite raising 13 kids, despite losing two fathers, despite a divorce that ripped her life apart, despite rehab and rebellion and ingratitude, nobody reciprocated. Nobody showed up for her the way she showed up for everyone else. We have got to stop assuming that strong women don't need us. We have got to stop waiting for them to ask. Show up, check in, say, I see your load. How can I support you right now? Because the truth is, they've been holding everyone else up for so long, they've forgotten what it feels like to be held. Third, faith in God and community heals past trauma. Stand tall through it all as a businesswoman, a mom, a mentor. Gabrielle's faith kept her teaching, kept her striving, kept her building small businesses for her kids, even while she was in rehab, even when the weight gain felt like failure, even when the rebellious teens made her question everything, even when the ungrateful attitudes from the five stepchildren she raised cut deep. Faith and community, that's the foundation. That's what turns survival into something sacred. Now, let me share three stories of women who lived this truth, who embodied Gabrielle Brown's message, who overcame multi layered traumas and still built legacies. Think about Oprah Winfrey for a moment. Born in 1954 to an unwed teenage mother in rural Mississippi, shuffled between grandparents, molested by relatives starting at age 9, pregnant as a teen, baby died, evicted by her mother, echoes of domestic violence, addiction struggles, and the weight of everyone's expectations pressing down on her like a boulder she couldn't move. Oprah could have stayed stuck. She could have let the trauma voices win, but she didn't. She embraced vulnerability publicly. In the 1980s, on her talk show, she confessed her trauma. She sat there in front of millions and said, "This happened to me. This is my pain. This is my truth." She leaned on faith therapy and community support to pivot pain into purpose. She launched businesses, she mentored youth, she broke depression cycles and built Harpo Productions, launched the OWN network in 2011, authored bestsellers, and turned her scars into a $2.5 billion empire. But here's what gets me: it's not the money, it's not the accolades, it's the fact that Oprah revolutionized self help media, empowering Black women to voice trauma and faith for healing. She made it okay to say, "I'm not okay." She made it okay to need help. She made it okay to be vulnerable. And that mirrors Gabrielle Brown's vulnerability amid abuse, addiction, solo raising kids and stepkids, and business success despite no support. Oprah didn't just survive, she thrived. And she did it by refusing to let pride keep her silent. Then there's Iyanla Van Zant, raised in the Brooklyn projects, abused as a child, married young, divorced, battled drug and food addiction while parenting, domestic violence from her husband. Her daughter died from cancer, rehab for addictions, rebellious kids, unappreciative family, depression after losing everything in the 2000s financial crash. Ayanla could have given up. She could have said, "This is too much. I can't do this anymore." But she didn't. She publicly declared vulnerability on her show. Iyanla fixed my life. She recommitted to God, therapy, and community. She taught women to say, "I need help," while mentoring youth entrepreneurship. She emerged stronger, avoiding prolonged depression with renewed career highs. Best selling books like Acts of Faith, an Emmy winning show, The Van Zandt Empire, empowering thousands through raw faith sharing. Yanla shifted Black women's mental health conversations toward spiritual vulnerability and support networks. She made it okay to fall apart. She made it okay to rebuild. She made it okay to lean on God and community when the weight gets too heavy. And that's Gabrielle Brown's faith restoring ethos, her rehab, divorce, teen rebellion, unreciprocated support, and striving as a mom and businesswoman. Iyanla didn't just survive, she transformed. And she did it by refusing to let pride keep her isolated. And then there's Tarana Burke, grew up in the Philadelphia projects, assaulted at age 5, teen pregnancy, hustled through 1990s activism, childhood sexual abuse, domestic violence, single parenting, 4 kids, including step dynamics, addiction recovery, ungrateful family strains, depression, no maternal support. Tarana could have stayed silent. She could have let the shame swallow her whole, but she didn't. She used vulnerability, sharing her story in 2006. She leaned on faith and community building. She launched youth business mentorship programs to channel pain, rejecting pride for open pleas for help. The Me Too movement launched globally in 2017. Personal healing, sustained entrepreneurship, Me Too nonprofit empowered millions. Time 100 honoree. Books and films igniting worldwide healing conversations. Tarana transformed societal support for Black women's trauma, emphasizing faith and mutual aid over isolation. She made it okay to speak up. She made it okay to demand better. She made it okay to say, "This happened to me and I deserve healing." And that echoes Gabrielle Brown's domestic violence, solo parenting and stepkids, addiction and trauma voices, and her call for women supporting the strong. Tarana didn't just survive, she sparked a revolution. And she did it by refusing to let pride keep her powerless. These women, Oprah, Iyanla, Tarana, they didn't just survive, they thrived. They turned their pain into purpose. They said, I'm not okay. And that honesty became their superpower. They leaned on faith and community. They showed up for others while learning to let others show up for them. And that's what Gabrielle Brown is teaching us. But here's the thing, we talk about these women like they're exceptions, like they're superheroes, like they're somehow different from the rest of us. And that's where we get it wrong. Because the truth is, Gabrielle Brown is not an exception. Oprah is not an exception. Iyanla is not an exception. Tarana is not an um, exception. They are reflections of every Black woman who has been strong for too long, who has carried everyone else, who has survived trauma and loss and ingratitude and still showed up. They are reflections of you. They are reflections of your mother, your sister, your best friend, your colleague, the woman sitting next to you right now. And we've been taught that strength means silence. That being the strong friend means never needing anyone. That softness is weakness. But Gabrielle Brown's story and the stories of these incredible women, they teach us something different. They teach us that vulnerability is not weakness. It's courage. It's the willingness to say, I'm struggling and I need help. It's the willingness to let someone else carry you for a change. It's the willingness to drop the cape, to release the mask, to stop performing strength and start living in softness. And softness, let me tell you, softness is not about being weak. Softness is about being whole. It's about protecting your peace. It's about setting boundaries without apology. It's about resting without explanation. It's about healing in real time, tending to past wounds, and not letting trauma voices dictate your future. It's about redefining strength on your own terms. Gabrielle Brown spent 40 years in a marriage where she was told she wasn't enough. 40 years of raising his kids, of being the strong one, of holding it together while he was mean and selfish, watching her struggle, sending his 5 kids to leech off her, to use her, to mistreat her. 40 years of trauma voices playing on repeat. You're not good enough. You're too old. Nobody's going to want you because you've got kids and you raised his kids. And when that marriage ended, when she finally walked away, those voices didn't stop. The weight gain, the addiction cycles, the rebellious teens, the unappreciative stepchildren, the losses, the grief, the exhaustion, it all piled up. But Gabrielle chose vulnerability. She chose to say, I'm not okay. She chose faith. She chose community. She chose to keep striving, to keep building, to keep mentoring, to keep showing up, not because she had to, but because she wanted to turn her survival into something sacred. And that's what the soft girl era is all about. It's the sacred pause Black women have been waiting for. It's not a trend, it's a lifestyle rebellion, a deep exhale from the Superwoman script, a quiet but powerful return to softness, rest, self trust, and radical joy. It's giving voice to the high achieving, overextended Black woman who's finally choosing herself, not out of burnout, but out of reverence. So here's my challenge to you. This week, text or call that strong sister, that mom, that entrepreneur in your life, the one everyone leans on, and say, I see your load. How can I support you right now? It's okay to not be okay. Then own your own vulnerability. Journal one trauma voice in your head like, not good enough, or too old, or nobody's going to want you, and counter it with a God centered affirmation. No more pride fueled depression. Strive like Gabrielle Brown. Strive like Oprah. Strive like Ayanla. Strive like Tarana, because the unbreakable ones break too. And when they do, we need to be there. Not after they've collapsed, not after they've lost everything, not after they've spent months stuck in depression, but now, right now, before the breaking point, before the collapse, before the silence becomes too heavy to lift. The strongest people in your life are not invincible. They are human. They are hurting. They are holding on by a thread, and they need you. They need your support. They need your love. They need your presence. They need you to show up, to check in, to say, I see you. I hear you. I'm here for you. So stop waiting. Stop assuming. Stop believing the lie that strong women don't need help, because they do. We all do. And it's time we started acting like it. It's time we started supporting the unbreakable ones before they break. It's time we started showing up for the strong ones before they collapse. It's time we started choosing vulnerability over pride, faith over fear, community over isolation. Because that's how we heal. That's how we thrive. That's how we turn survival into something sacred. That's how we enter our soft girl era, not by pretending we're okay when we're not, not by carrying everyone else's load while ignoring our own, but by saying, I'm not okay, and that's okay. By letting someone else carry us for a change, by choosing softness, rest, self trust, and radical joy, by redefining strength on our own terms. The unbreakable ones break too. And when they do, let's be there. Let's show up. Let's support. Let's love. Let's heal together.